Remember when it was like 23-7 and our offense was like working, but now my pulse is at 116 at 8:30 at night? All right, let's talk about it. Okay, before we hop into the deep dive, I'm just going to tell you guys what my mom texted me. She said, who is also a huge Steelers fan, she's from Pittsburgh. She said, "Why do Steelers have to make every game go to the final seconds?" My response, same reason they promoted Matt Canada. They hate their fans. Okay, we'll talk about the promotion in a second, but post-game recap for top things on my mind. I love Najee to death. I have been a massive supporter for him. I have his jersey. I've wanted him to be like the next Steelers running back for like the next however long to come, but he needs to be benched for Jalen, and not necessarily like for an entire game, but him and Jalen have to switch roles. Jalen has to be getting like a 75-25 split here. Najee has to take that 25, because something else that I texted Zach during this game is it literally takes Najee like 4 seconds to get out of the backfield. Like Le'Veon Bell was patient, but then he bursted out of it. Najee's patient and then just sits on it, and I don't get it. He had some burst in college, which I think is why people like myself were very excited to get him in the draft 2 years ago. But we also like knew him for being kind of like a baby Derrick Henry. Like he's just gonna put his helmet down and go through it. But now it's like he's trying to be too patient, and it's becoming not only his detriment but also the detriment of the offense. And it's, for instance, like on our final drive having the ball there, we were in 3rd and 11 because it literally, like on the first down, Najee lost 4 yards. If you're running a dive, or thank God we didn't run these, but if we ever run a zone, Chris Collins was talking about how we don't run zones in this game. I was very happy we didn't run that many zones. But if you run a dive or like a trap play, you need to be shooting through the offensive line. And Najee just sits there. And I know that it's very important for running back to do that because you need to have that vision of, okay, where am I going to hit the hole? And also, how are the middle linebackers, if you've a safety dropping down into the line, how are they reacting to the original setup of this play? And I can move off of that. But Najee just takes too long. And literally every time Jalen Warren gets the ball, he is shooting out of the backfield. It's very rare that he gets the ball and he either loses yards or he only gets 1 yard. I swear to God, every time we give him the ball, it's like we're getting 4 to 5 yards every time. That's the first thing. Second thing, our secondary is very lucky that our front seven is so good, because if we were not getting as much pressure as we were on the quarterbacks throughout the first 2 weeks of the season, I think we'd be getting cooked. I'm not going to put too much on Devontae having, I think it was 14 or 13 receptions in this game, because Devontae Adams is a top 3 receiver in the NFL right now, and he's one of the greatest to ever play the game at his position. And so he's just going to get his. That's how that is. It's like if we were playing Justin Jefferson. It's like when we played Jamar Chase. Those are guys that just are so good. It's not like we were getting beat by Jacob. It's not like Jacoby Myers had 14 receptions for 167 yards. It's not like that. So that's fine. But that being said, our secondary is still struggling mightily, like so bad. And we are one more injury away on the front seven from that really showing. I will say we do have some depth, especially with like Nick Herbig on the back or on the bench, as well as Keanu Benton, who had a huge sack in this game. Our rookie class is looking phenomenal, except for our offensive pieces, which I'll talk about in a second. Speaking of rookie class, they did play Joey Porter like 1 snap more than last week, but it's still not enough. And I think that snap only came because Levi Wallace got hurt. I know Levi Wallace had 2 interceptions. One of them was a good play. One of them was literally just like a throw up, and he just kind of caught the ball at the end of the game to seal it. Patrick Peterson also an interception. He just looks too slow, man. I think what Pittsburgh is doing a lot of right now is they're running. Okay, what we did the first 2 weeks is we were running a lot of man coverage, and we're a zone-built team. Patrick Peterson and Levi Wallace are zone corners. And so we were running a lot of man. We were getting beat a lot on the secondary. But luckily for us, like I said, the front seven was able to get to the ball fast enough. In this game, we were switching up to more of a zone, which is smart because that is the style of these guys play. But when you have someone like Devontae Adams who can just get into the middle of the field, it's not going to work out. Also, Jimmy Garoppolo is probably the worst quarterback to want to play zone against because he isn't known for his deep ball. He's known for his, short 5 to 10 yard ball, and that's where you'll beat zone most of the time. Especially, it looked like we were running a lot of Tampa 2 and cover 3, so that's going to be an issue. Also, I will say Minka got robbed of a sack, and that was a 2nd and 10 that should have been a 3rd and 14 or 15. That was not a roughing the passer call. That was a horrible call, but I'm done believing that the referees are going to do their job properly anymore. Besides that, I'm still of the belief that Matt Canada is a dumbass because I know we put up 23 points, but I don't care. That's probably what most teams are averaging right now. So that should not be a celebratory mark for us. I texted Zach, co-host of the podcast. If you guys haven't, check it out. I said, Canada's the dumbest MF alive. 3rd and 16, draw. 3rd and 2, deep post. Early into the fourth quarter, I think we were on like either our 35 or 40-yard line, and it was 3rd and 2. And this is where, why am I so red? What just happened? Anyways, it was 3rd and 2, and I was like, all right, cool. This is where we're going to use that draw play that we always use on 3rd and 16. No, we ran a deep post, and then we had Jalen Warren on like a wheel route, and Kenny threw the ball like 10 yards down the field. Why don't we do that on 3rd and 16? Why are we doing that on 3rd and 2? On 3rd and 2, that's when you go, hey, it's just a draw. I will say, greatest play call I've ever seen while we've had Matt Canada is when he faked both a draw and a jet sweep on the same play. It's almost like Matt Canada knows. It's almost like this man is aware, like, oh yeah, these guys know that I love draws and jet sweeps, so I'm going to fake both. Like, if you told me that he's been calling all those plays for the last 3 years just to set up this play, I would not call you a liar. I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. Sorry, I keep looking at the monitor because, like, this is green screened, obviously. That's how I can get that picture in there. So you get all this green right here, and it's just bugging me. Also, my hair. California has not been kind to my hair, so that's another issue. Anyways, I'm trying to think. Kenny looked good in this game. He's finally – okay, this is the one thing that I wanted. I haven't talked about, but I probably should have, is Kenny needs to start using his legs a lot more because last season he was – Chris Collinsworth mentioned it too. He was super successful when he's using his legs and he's getting out of the pocket. And finally, he had 2 back-to-back plays. One got called back and one he picked up the first down with where he used his legs, and I love it because Kenny is athletic. Kenny has like the speed of Josh Allen. He's not going to run as much as Josh Allen because Josh Allen's not that fast. He's not like Lamar. But Kenny he's faster than Mahomes. And Mahomes uses his legs all the time. So we need to see Kenny doing that a little bit more. There was a little more bootleg in the offense, which I did like, and there were also direct snaps into him running. In a play, it's a direct snap towards a certain side where the play just develops that way. Loved seeing that. Okay, listen. I've talked a lot about Matt Canada. I still want him not to be on this team next season or within the next couple of weeks. But I will not lie to you guys. I am in a rock and a hard place because I want Matt Canada to succeed because 3 years ago when we had Randy Fichtner, I was like Matt Canada's #1 super fan. I was like, we need to get Matt Canada in this offense. So, there's a part of me that wants to be right about this. But then I'm also stuck in a rock and a hard place. I think a lot of Steelers fans are too, where it's like, I want us to win because I'm a fan, and I want our offense to ball out because I love our offense. We have the pieces. Pat Freiermuth finally got a touchdown. He had 3 receptions today for, I think, 22 yards. That is more receptions in one game than he's had all season, and that's more yards in one game than he's had all season. And also, he's tied. He has 2 touchdowns now. But I think the fan base is stuck between a rock and a hard place because we want these players to do well. We want Kenny, to have hopefully a better game than that because that should be the average for him, but we want that while we also want Matt Canada gone. You really can't have both happen at the same time because if the offense is succeeding, the front office is going to look at that and say, okay, well, Matt Canada's doing his job. And if the offense isn't succeeding, apparently the front office is going to look at that and go like, oh, Matt Canada's doing his job, and we're going to promote him. Now I'll talk about it. I don't get it. I don't understand this. Full clarity, I don't know who does these types of assignments. I don't think it's Omar Khan. I don't see why a general manager would do this. It seems like something more of a Rooney would do. Like, hey, you're going to be doing, you have a new assignment as on top of being the offensive coordinator. Obviously, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Matt Canada was given what's called a promotion where he's going to be working closer with Kenny Pickett, which is why wasn't he already? Okay. And 2, there's a lot of speculation about what this means. I really don't I don't like that it's being called a promotion in the media, but if that's how the Steelers are kind of portraying it, I honestly think this might be a good thing for the Pittsburgh fans that have been wanting Matt Canada gone because Pittsburgh is going to call this a promotion within the organization, so it doesn't seem like they're taking steps back. If they call it a promotion, they're not saying we fucked up because then their egos are in check. what I think is happening is they're going to change his role as the season goes on. I think he's going to be kind of pushed out in like he's going to be eased out of the offensive coordinator position and probably moved back to like what he was when we had a Finkner, which was the quarterback coach. And I think if that's what happens, fine. I really don't care about Matt Canada as a quarterback coach. There's no way he can wreak as much havoc on this offense as he has. I'm not going to give him credit for winning this game. I know that the offense finally scored 2 touchdowns, but I'm not going to celebrate the fact that our offense can put up 23 points because that shouldn't be the bar. Like, we just saw an NFL team put up 70 today. Pittsburgh has not even passed 70 on the season. I don't think we have. Oh, my God. I don't think we've passed 70 on the season. So, man, I look at Miami, and I'm like, can we steal anyone from that offensive system, please? God, Mike McDaniel's is just so fun. Also, I haven't talked about this yet. I don't like the idea that Mike Tomlin's the reason we have offensive struggles, because if that was the case, we wouldn't have had those seasons in the 2010s where we were putting up like 35 points a game and then our defense was just ass. I think Mike Tomlin's considered a defensive coach because that's where his background was before he was a head coach. He was a defensive coordinator. Yeah, and I think before that he was a secondaries coach. So he's defensively like minded, but he can succeed with a phenomenal offense. We've seen it before. So I don't blame the offense on I almost said on Mike Tomlin, because Mike Tomlin doesn't do the play calling. The reason you have certain head coaches that are phenomenal offenses, like Kyle Shanahan, Mike McDaniel, that's because they are mostly doing the play calling. That's why usually their coordinators get poached, is because those coordinators learn those schemes and systems so well. And that's why those coaches are okay. Andy Reid, another example. That's why coaches are okay letting, obviously not okay, but like they don't mind having that coordinator let go because they are most of that offensive system. They're not just losing all of it. That's why I think like Kansas City was fine getting rid of Eric Bieniemy, and because you have, that happening. I'm very curious what like Detroit's going to do, because I think Ben Johnson has been a very integral part of that offensive identity. It's another person we could get an offensive coordinator, but he's not going to take another coordinator job. He's going to get a head coach. But yeah, offense, honestly, if I had to give it like a letter grade, probably a C, because that was the most average offensive game we probably could have shown. Shout out to Calvin Austin. We need to be using him way more, especially when Deontay gets back. I like Allen Robinson, but he clearly isn't going to have any splash plays that I think a lot of people were expecting him to. But when Deontay comes back, yeah, I know I'm going to bed soon. Relax. When Deontay comes back, we need to have him, as in Deontay and George, on the outsides, and we need to have Calvin Austin in the middle, because the man ran a 4.21 and probably faster 40. And if he's in the slot, he's just going to, most of the time, you're going to be matched up with either a slot corner, that means they're not the number 1 or number 2 corner, or it's going to be a middle linebacker or just a linebacker of some kind, and he's going to be faster than them no matter what. So we really do need to be incorporating him more. More bootlegs, please. Also, we had this graph that said when Pittsburgh is in the single back or just under center in general, they're running the ball 85% of the time, and when they're in shotgun, they're passing the ball 90% of the time. Oh my God. Okay. It's week 3. Somehow we're in first place in the AFC North. I will say Houston next week is a huge trap game. Jacksonville has a way better offensive system than us, and they have the pieces, and they lost that game. Their defense might not be as good as ours, but I do not care. I am Mike Tomlin, apparently. I am not taking this game for granted. And then after that, we have. You good? Really? Look at this. Oh, you guys can't see it. Can you? You probably could. Bro, do not stop doing that. I think it's because of the grain. Anyways, and then the week after we have Houston, we have Baltimore, so that's going to be another huge game. If we can walk into Baltimore at 3-1, that's huge, especially if our one loss is against arguably the best team in football. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that really happened in this game. I can't think about. Oh, one thing we need to do, we need to start playing Broderick Jones. It's going to be somewhat to his detriment at a certain point if we don't play him, because he's going to be going against, like, yeah, I kind of see Pittsburgh's point now of maybe not playing him against the arguably 2 guys in the top 5 for edge rushers, and Nick Bosa and Myles Garrett. and then Max Crosby this week. I get him. You don't want to throw him into the fire, especially in a season where we can contend in the playoffs and possibly for a championship. A conference championship, not a Super Bowl. So I kind of get that. But at the same time, if you're starting him off against the best of the best, it's just going to get better from there, I feel like. But, I don't know. Yeah, I think Broad needs to get played more. And also, why did we draft Darnell Washington if we're not going to use him? I'm glad that we finally got Freiermuth involved a little bit, but 3 receptions is still just like, yeah, I can't think of anything else. If I missed it, I'll probably talk about it on the podcast this week. Sorry we didn't have a podcast last week. Zach got sick, and I actually had to fly back to Utah last week on the day that we were supposed to film. I was literally just there for one day, so we were unable to do the pod because then Zach got sick. But we will do the pod this week. And, yeah, I really do like doing these recaps because I get to say what I want to say right away. So let me know what you guys think. I am curious to your guys' thoughts on the game, so please tell me, just drop them in the comments below. If you for some reason want my opinion on a certain aspect of the game, let me know. I'd love to answer it. I love talking football. But other than that, just going to wind down and get ready for bed. We'll never know how to end these, so we already know what's coming. And